Escape the rat race. Secrets they don't want you to know. The rat race begins shortly after graduation. You find your first job that pays enough to buy your college dream. For some, the first dream will be a 72-inch plasma TV, but for big dreamers, it will be a 152-inch TV. If you appreciate the video you watch and want to help us continue creating interesting content, we kindly ask you to consider the idea of subscribing to our channel and leaving us a donation to support us. Thanks to your support, we will be able to continue improving and offering you new insights. You can do it here below, through the appropriate buttons, subscribe, and thanks. So they buy a TV. The next dream might be a car. While waiting to buy your dream car, you buy a functional car. You'll work harder at your job, get a promotion, and a higher salary. This means you can afford to move into a more expensive and fashionable house. In this way, hamsters cultivate their dreams, work hard, achieve them, and then move on to the next big dream. Wikipedia defines the rat race as an endless, self-destructive, or futile pursuit. Rat races usually consist of competition and comparison. Competition to outdo others at work or in business is usually endless. When you manage to surpass your colleagues and leave the office, your colleagues change. You and your new colleagues, who now occupy your same office, tend to conquer the corner office. You win again and get the corner office. Then the stakes rise, and you look up. This competition continues all the way to the top floor, where the board of directors is located. This endless competitive journey is the rat race. To broaden your horizons, I'd like to introduce you to Steve and Angela. Steve and Angela attended the same class in college. As children, they both loved playing with numbers, so it was no surprise they ended up in the same economics course. In college, they spent weekends with wild parties and sleepless nights with mountains of homework. Neither was particularly enthusiastic about classes, but they made progress and got decent grades. 2 or 3 times a month, Angela, Steve, and other friends would gather and play Scrabble, passionately discussing politics. These evenings were very enjoyable and represented the highlight of the month. Some time passed, they graduated, found decent jobs, and without realizing it, were slowly dragged into the rat race. Of course, like most college friends, they promised to always stay in touch and meet at least once a month to play and share happy memories of their college days. However, after a few months, Chris stopped coming because his girlfriend got pregnant. The baby was due, and Chris had to work overtime to make money. Babies are no small pleasure. Also, Julie got a promotion and had to move to another city. Shortly after, Steve found a girlfriend, and after a year of dating, he asked her to marry him. At work, he worked hard and consistently enough to get a promotion. Steve had an old beat-up Toyota Corolla, but with his new title of department manager at work, he couldn't drive a used and beat-up car, so he bought a new one and sold the old one. His wife got pregnant, and they had to move to a bigger house to prepare for the birth. The monthly Scrabble game had long been forgotten, and he was playing the game of life. He kept telling himself that he needed to take out a mortgage, buy a second car, create a college fund for the kids, and start investing in stocks. Every year, costs magically increased, and Stephen constantly complained, saying he had to work even harder to earn more. Angela, on the other hand, couldn't settle down. For her, the most important thing was to succeed in her career. When she finished college, she realized how much time she had wasted doing nothing. So she planned her days to the minute and made the most of every day. Career advancement wasn't so difficult for Angela, but rather relatively easy, thanks to the self-discipline she had instilled in herself. So she climbed the career ladder, becoming an executive compared to the department head, then general manager compared to other executives, and finally moving to another company with a higher salary. She had friends and appreciated their company, but spent little time with them. For this reason, she had difficulty maintaining relationships outside of work. 20 years after graduation, Steve was sitting in his car, preparing for a meeting. Considering how much time he spent at work, his marriage was failing. He adored his children but spent little time with them. His career was moving forward, and his investments were paying off. However, he wasn't happy. He thought that if he earned a lot of money, drove luxury cars, and offered his children a better life, he would be happy. Instead, he was tired. He was tired of trying to move forward, of doing the same repetitive job. He just wanted to go back to his dorm room at college, get drunk, play Scrabble, and insult Plato. At that moment, sitting in his car, Steve called the Erudite team and organized a meeting. Many people promised to attend, including Julie, Angela, and Chris. The only one who showed up was Angela. The topic of conversation that evening was the hamster race. They had achieved almost everything they thought they would achieve at graduation and were now happy. They had seen the end. Everything was meaningless. Steve was frustrated. He felt there was a better way than the monotony of his current life. Angela had almost given up. She knew no other way of existing that didn't involve wearing fancy clothes. The rat race fed her, clothed her, allowed her to take rare and expensive vacations, and ultimately made her as happy as possible. Escaping the financial trap. Returning home that evening, Angela pondered whether there was something she could have done differently. It made sense to advance her career every day. She had begun to hate her job and its repetitiveness. After reading several books and articles on various websites, she decided to see if she could improve her quality of life by getting out of the rat race. Examination. First of all, she had to establish if she was in the rat race. There was no way to get out of something she didn't recognize being part of. So she asked herself 3 fundamental questions. No. She had to be able to do it. Her career progression was a continuous and constant process. Her career and life in general were characterized by competition. It was the only way to advance in her career. There was also comparison. Not much, but enough to worry about. Alternatives. Angela's next step was to discover if there were alternative ways to generate income. Rat races gave her bread and company, but to get out of them, she needed to earn in other ways. Exploring alternative ways to make money. How could she earn money with painting? This was the question Angela asked herself while researching this interest. As a solution, she decided to work part-time from home. Working more while trying to get out of the rat race might seem a bit crazy. However, painting relaxed Angela. She felt good just doing what she was researching and not necessarily dependent on income. So, even though she spent a ridiculous amount of time working, she looked forward to relaxing at the end of the day. At the same time, she was exploring different ways to turn this hobby into a source of income. Eventually, by adding activities to her day that didn't involve earning or achieving success, Angela gradually got out of the rat race. Necessities and luxuries. To stop depending completely on her daily job, Angela had to evaluate what she needed and give up superfluous luxuries. Vacations had to be reasonable, and clothes had to be functional. By giving up these luxuries and focusing on what she needed, she reduced her necessary income, making it easier to leave work permanently. Steve couldn't get out of the rat race. His fear of losing income, his competitive nature, and his desire to be like his peers were vindicated. Perhaps, he told himself, he could retire to a small fishing village on the coast and be happy when it was all over. Meanwhile, Angela took her time, modifying small aspects of her life, realizing that happiness wasn't a future goal, but something to achieve now. 2 years later, leveraging her professional knowledge, Angela opened her own design studio and school, which she runs and manages. It's not yet profitable, but it's expected to break even in the coming months. At that point, she can choose whether to run the business or hire someone else. In essence, Angela will be able to get out of the rat race and finally start living her life independently. This is just a simple example of what many people have to face in today's world. Unfortunately, most people are forced to lead a long slave life, working for a salary. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Thanks to the internet, more and more people are starting online businesses in the form of e-commerce stores, blogs, social media, and affiliate marketers every day. It's time to take your financial future into your own hands. Share your personal experience on today's topic with us. Write it in the comments and ask us any questions you may have. We will be happy to answer. Leave a comment so that we can perfect our creations. We will be happy with your simple like, but the most important thing is not to forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming videos.